I'm joined now live from Singapore by Grant Williams, strategy advisor and hedge fund of Vulpes Investment and the author of the investment newsletter, Things That Make You Go, Grant, welcome to the programme.
Hi, Tiki.
So we're over the worst with the Eurozone, according to the OECD's leading indicators.
Look, it's an indicator that has to be taken seriously. It does have a very good record. The problem that we've had in Europe over the last couple of years, there are so many shocks that can happen that can trash some of these indicators. So I think it has turned a corner, but we need to be very, very cautious because there are a lot of things that could upset this apple cart.
How successful do you think this orderly default that Greece is going through will be?
Well, they haven't got the money yet. I think we all need to remember that. They haven't actually been given the money. It has to be ratified. So they've done a good job with this voluntary haircut that's been imposed on people, although the new bonds that have been swapped for the old ones are currently trading at around 20 cents on the dollar. So clearly people think that there's a very, very good chance that Greece is going to default again on this. So, as I say, we're not out of the woods yet by a long, long way.
And meanwhile, we've got this new recalcitrant nation in Spain, which could presumably present a much bigger problem. I see President Rajoy has said that Spain just simply wouldn't make the 2012 deficit target of 4.4% of GDP. He said it was a sovereign decision and Europe couldn't do very much about it.
Well, absolutely. And I think more concerning is the fact that his target was about 30% above the agreed limit. Now, the finance ministers have met last night and they've agreed that, OK, the 4.4 isn't achievable, but Spain has to do more to get their house in order. Now, the numbers in Spain are appalling. Mortgage delinquencies are rising, lending is contracting, unemployment is 25% almost, and 50% under 25. So Spain's dynamics are bad and getting worse by the month. So there's a long, long way to go before Spain's cured. And I struggle to see how they're going to do it, frankly.
I was going to say, those numbers are pretty incredible. How are they going to make this 2013 target, which the Europeans have put on them, which is under 3.3% of GDP?
Well, Tiki, I don't think they are, frankly. I talk to some people on the ground in Spain, and they tell me that, from Spain itself looking out, that the numbers are even worse than we're seeing over here in Asia. So the chances are we're going to see some very bad numbers coming out of Spain when the smoke clears, and that's really not going to help them make these targets.
If this is a serious situation that develops, I mean, Spain is many, many, many times larger than Greece. They've got this enormous amount of private debt, I understand. Just how are they going to be able to deleverage without getting into perhaps even a similar situation to Greece?
Well, it's a big problem for them. And with 50% youth unemployment, trying to delever at the speed that they are supposed to be committing to is going to cause all kinds of social unrest. And as we go into the summer in the Mediterranean, when temperatures get higher, tempers tend to flare up. And I suspect we're going to have a very, very uncomfortable summer in Spain.
So you're talking about serious strike action, presumably?
Oh, we've already seen that. I suspect what we saw in Athens with strikes leading to violence, leading to protests, we're going to see that all over again in Spain. And there are an awful lot of young people, frustrated young people without work and without much hope of getting a job, who are going to be out on the streets in force.
In the meantime, the Europeans, by which I mean the Central Europeans, are going on with the introduction of their financial institutions tax. How successful do you think that will be in terms of, aside from the UK, the rest of Europe?
Well, these taxes, when you do the studies, that they play very, very well politically. But what they tend to do is discourage people from doing business. Now, if they can get this agreed across the whole of the Eurozone, that's one thing. They have been proven in studies to not really do a particularly good job of raising the kind of money that they're hoping to. But if you get any holdouts whatsoever, and I suspect you will, the business is going to leave the places that are charging the tax, and it's going to go in a free Europe to the countries that refuse to impose it. So again, they have to get a completely unanimous decision on this, or it's just not going to work.
The other thing I was quite interested in overnight is that reports that global liquidity has now pretty much peaked. I think that was on Henderson's research, and that really, if there's no more action to spur on global growth, then global growth may have peaked this year.
Well, this is the problem. Anytime you have growth that is dependent upon liquidity being injected by central banks and governments, you clearly have a big problem when they start to pull away, which is what we're seeing now. That they hope this recovery, if that's indeed what it is, I think it's too early to say, they hope it's self-sustaining. But if they do pull away the monetary rug, we're going to find out very, very quickly. And the numbers, as you say, that Henderson study were quite alarming. The velocity of money has fallen. Deposits across the pigs have contracted by double digits this year. And we are seeing a massive slowdown in, as you say, in the liquidity in Europe.
Briefly, you've just come back from the US. Can you give us a report card?
Yeah, it's interesting. There is hope in the numbers, but not an awful lot of belief in the numbers over there. People are hoping this is the real thing, but they're very, very cautious that there could be another false dawn.
Grant Williams, thank you very much for joining us again.
Pleasure.